The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you.
Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness, where for 40 days he was tempted by the devil. He ate nothing at all during those days, and when they were over, he was famished. The devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become a loaf of bread." Jesus answered him, "It is written, man does not live by bread alone." Then the devil led him up and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And the devil said to him, "To you I will give their glory and all this authority, for it has been given over to me, and I can give it to anyone I please. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours." Jesus answered, "It is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil took him to Jerusalem and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to protect you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus answered, "It is said, do not put the Lord your God to the test." When the devil had finished every test, he departed from him until an opportune time. Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
As you all know, this Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the holy season of Lent, the penitential season of Lent. Today is the first Sunday of Lent. Lent, where Christians everywhere prepare for the coming of the resurrected Christ. I had determined that for Lent this year, I would give up sweets. Not only would that make my doctor deliriously happy, who wants me to limit my sugar intake, but it would actually be a little bit something extra to do, really tough for a guy like me to do, an act of self-discipline, and of course, penance for my many sins. Well, turns out Friday, I spent the day with Father Peter at his house going over plans for my upcoming ordination. And then I had to go into Baltimore to meet with Rick Tomlinson, who's the verger at Old St. Paul's Church, which is where the ordination is going to take place, to discuss various logistics. And as it turned out, I had a little time to kill. And as you recall, it was sleeting and freezing and cold and miserable outside. So I wandered into this cute little cafe that's about 3 doors down from the church on Charles Street there, just for a cup of coffee. The place is called Cafe Coupon. On that ordination day, for those of you who are coming, if you get there early, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. there before me was this delectable display of delicious, sugary delicacies. And the freshly baked smell just permeated the atmosphere, filled my nostrils. And suddenly I was overcome with this frustrating feeling of guilt that I was only buying coffee from these wonderful people who were welcoming me into their cafe and coming out of the weather on this freezing day. 3 chocolate chip cookies and 2 snickerdoodles later, I'm on this sugar high, and it suddenly dawns on me, you're only 2 days into Lent and you've already blown it. Lord, the spirit is definitely willing, but oh my gosh, the flesh is so weak. This concept of a period of preparation for Easter through fasting and penance has been around since the earliest days of the church. As Joe said, the word Lent means springtime. St. Irenaeus talked about it in the 200s, 203. After the Council of Nicaea in 313, letters started to emerge from people like St. Athanasius and Cyril of Jerusalem, Cyril of Alexandria, concerning this period of 40 days in which we should focus on prayer and fasting. But from the beginning, it was also really meant to be, and quite simply, a time for reflection, serious reflection, for Christians to ponder the implications of actually being other Christs. I mean, the catechumens in those days used this time to prepare for the Holy Saturday baptism they were eventually going to receive. And the rest of the community would think back on their own experiences of dying and rising in Christ. This looking back or looking over how well we live up to our commitment and to act as children of God is actually the truer heart of Lent. We're all aware of our baptismal promises. When we promise to reject sin and the devil, to live in the light of Christ. And we've heard over and over and over his commandments to love one another and to love those who hate us. We just heard that a couple of weeks ago. To be peacemakers and to care for the unfortunate. Yet we've all been through the mill of day-to-day life. And we know how easy it is to stray from these high ideals of the gospel. We know where we've done well. And we know where we've not done so well. We have much to reflect on. Reflection, it turns out, is a core Judeo-Christian skill, and it's almost unique. The only other religion that really does a lot of this is Buddhism. Christians and Jews do it a lot. And as far as we can tell, there was nobody actually there on Easter Sunday night and who had a stylus in hand and who started to write the Christian scriptures as a direct eyewitness as it was happening. It took at least 20 years after the resurrection before St. Paul, who was our first Christian author, penned the letter to the Thessalonians. All of our spiritual authors in the New Testament had to reflect back, had to think things over about what did all this mean. And the various communities' experiences of their living of the faith affected the way eventually the sacred authors wrote about that faith and passed it on to us. The scriptures themselves are a reflection of what it means to be followers of Christ. And I say reflection is a Judeo-Christian skill because this process didn't begin with the Christian era. It was already at work for centuries during the composition of the Hebrew scriptures. I mean, for instance, the author of Deuteronomy today, that Damien read about, along with his community, they had encountered Yahweh's presence and working in the chosen people for literally dozens of generations. before this profession of faith that took the form in what you heard about today in today's reading. It took the Israelites hundreds of years to understand what Yahweh had accomplished for Jacob. He's the wandering Armenian that was talked about, and his family, that Moses, of course, refers to later. Only gradually did they begin to appreciate this specific ritual of bringing their basket of their first fruits as a sacrifice to God was actually talking about the us of the time, not just them of the past. They were experiencing, after all, some of the same things that their ancestors had experienced. And so they were to likewise bow down and worship to their God, just as Jacob did. All came from reflection on that historical information. I mean, in the same way, St. Paul took a long time for him to click off those essentials of the faith which occurred in the letter to Romans today. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Paul didn't come with that insight immediately after he had that experience on the road to Damascus where his doctor was supposed to struck blind. He didn't even have it probably afterwards when Barnabas imposed hands on him and officially made him one of the apostles. Lots of reflection on what does it mean to have encountered the risen Christ went into Paul's statement and all the other statements we just heard from Paul. And perhaps the most interesting are the temptations in Luke's gospel that Jesus endures while fasting in the wilderness. And the evangelist Mark only mentions that Jesus is tempted. It's not until almost 10 years later that Matthew and Luke lay out which temptations they actually were. Now, why is that? Apparently, the early Christian community didn't come up with these kinds of temptations that we heard talked about until they reflected for a decade on the temptations that they were now experiencing as a church in real time. So what were these? Command that these stones be made into bread. It's kind of a form of hedonism, desire for worldly satisfaction, something highly distracting, perhaps the community of believers. That is the audience for Matthew and Luke. I will give you all this power and glory. Remember the devil says that? I mean, were Christians falling prey to temptations towards materialism and greed and avarice? Throw yourself down from here and see if the angels come to save you. Is this pride? Presumption? Blasphemy? There's some evidence that even in the community in Rome and Thessalonica, I can't even say it, Thessalonica and what have you, that things like that were actually going on in the early Christian community. And so this reflection of what's ailing the community is what prompts Matthew and our Luke today to have Jesus show them and now us how to avoid sin like this and how to grow in righteousness. So I would suggest that we spend the next 6 weeks not just in penance and giving stuff up, but in reflecting, as the early Christians did, on what the implications of being other Christs. I mean, if I do so, I wonder what areas of temptations will come as individuals. Places where we'll need Christ's guidance. Because if we believe at this very moment now that God is offering to us a new world, a world that's very different than the one we've created, and if we allow ourselves to catch glimpses of that new world by being attentive to his gospel, will we do our part to create it? Because that's what Lent is calling us to. I mean, we, after all, were invited at our baptism to be ambassadors for Christ. To be people who believe as God believes and who act as God would act. We represent God in the world. That's our calling as Christians. We represent God in places where we walk, where we live, where we work, where we study, where we pray. Everywhere we go, we bring the experience of God to others. That's what it means to be other Christs. And that is our vocation. Lent then invites us to have a deep reflection on our part in doing this, and therefore where we have failed, and where we have sinned, and where we have fallen short in our exercising of this duty. I mean, in essence, Lent is a time when we say, as we do at times in the penitential rite, I confess to Almighty God and to you, my brothers and sisters, that I have sinned through my own fault in my thoughts and in my words, and what I have done and what I have failed to do. Lent gives us the opportunity to offer this prayer every moment of every day and to change and convert our lives in it. Now is the time for us to reflect, to consider, to recommit to the places where we know we have our own personal fault lines, where we have practices that need examination, and where we need to strive to find another way to act, despite our deepest fears, anxieties, or pride, or weaknesses. So, my friends, let us pray today at this Eucharist for the strength to change our hearts and renew our lives, even when confronted with whatever our lives' versions may be of a delectable display of sugary delicacies. May God bless you.